one hand, cocktail in the other. When it came to lungs and livers, well, they just could not be bothered. A cigarette in one hand.
Singer-songwriter Ron Sexsmith is back with some new music. You listen to Cigarettes and Cocktails, which is an ode to his days growing up in St. Catharines. It's the second release from his upcoming 18th album, Hangover Terrace. I had a chance to speak with Sexsmith about the new album. Have a listen. Okay, always looking forward to more new music from Ron Sexsmith, and Ron Sexsmith is joining us now. Ron, tell us about the inspiration for this new music, because I love the story. You're making a reference to hangovers, but you're not talking about the kind that's from a night of heavy drinking.
No, it's more kind of the accumulation of the pandemic and all that stuff, and just getting over the Trump era, and I mean, which is still going on, obviously. But I just felt that people went a little crazy during that time, and I think nerves got very raw, and everyone got sort of knocked around a bit, and the thing is about the title, we were in London on our way to a gig, and we passed this place called Hangover Terrace. And, we were always saying stupid things in the band, and my drummer just said Hangover Terrace. And right away, it just sort of made the light bulb come on over my head. And I thought, oh, that's not such a bad title, actually. And it seemed to capture the mood, like I say, what I'd been feeling since the pandemic. And I think that's going around. A lot of people felt like, what was that about? Did we have to go through that? And so that was the sort of the hangover I was referring to,
Right. Now, it's interesting. I spoke to a lot of musicians during the pandemic and have since the pandemic. I think that was a particularly difficult time for musicians because you were very much used to getting out and performing in front of people, large crowds packed in together. You didn't sort of have that at all. I wonder if now performing live just feels much different, better, like how that either changed you as an artist or how it changes your interpretation of the feeling of live music almost.
Well, I think it was very humbling because before the pandemic, I think a lot of people, I know I did, I would have these I put my foot down. Well, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing this. It was, my wife called me a no guy, a no person, but I was so grateful to play again when it ended. I would play the opening of a car wash or something, I was just just really grateful. I think a lot of us felt that way because, during the pandemic, when it first started, I thought, well, surely this won't last longer than 3 weeks or something.
Yeah. And
I kept seeing my tours get postponed about 4 times. I had an album out that year too.
Yeah.
And there was a fear like, well, is this ever coming back? And one of the things that helped me get through it, I live in Stratford, which was a relatively low case town. And so for about 4 or 5 months, I was able to do a show at this church in Stratford. We were allowed to have 50 people inside, and I had to play with a window in front of me, like I was in and it was all the protocols were in place. And that really helped me get through it. And I think for the town, it was nice that they could go out and have a relatively normal evening, with dinner. But no, it was a scary time for sure.
Yeah, it was indeed. So let's talk about the new music because we don't want to dredge on the past. But, for fans of Ron Sexsmith, and of course, you've got so many of them over so many years, is this music going to be different? Is this new, or how do you describe it to your fans?
It feels really new to me. I worked with a producer named Martin Treffy who produced some of some of my albums back in the mid 2000s, and there were some of my favorite ones, if I'm allowed to have any of my own. One was called Retriever, and he's a Swedish guy based in London. And I think the thing about him is he's able to help me update my sound because, I'm an old guy and I love Lightfoot and all those people. And I write these sort of folky songs, but he's able to frame them in a way that's really fresh and contemporary because I don't know what all the knobs do, the electronic stuff.
Yeah.
And so we hadn't worked together since 2007, I think. So I think there was just this real energy and excitement for us just to be reconnected. Some of the same musicians who played on those early albums were there. And so I think that's what he brought to this album. It just feels really fresh to me. And it's also, I think, it's one of my most sort of poppy albums in a long time. And I think, but it's interesting because the lyrics are darker, but the music seems poppier.
I was going to say that about the lyrics. There's an authenticity and rawness to them that is not necessarily what I might expect from you.
I think that's just, again, going back to the Hangover Terrace part. There's a kind of a wounded feeling. I think the last couple albums, I was singing about life in the country and the birds singing and all this sort of stuff. Because my experience here in Stratford has been much more peaceful than Toronto. I mean, Toronto, I lived for 30 years, and the last maybe 10 years or so wasn't really the happiest place for me. And all of a sudden now I'm walking along the river and there's swans and bunnies hopping by. I feel like I'm Snow White or something, in a Disney movie. And it's just been very creative and inspirational. And but yeah, I think, over the course of the last few years, I've had a few falling outs and this and that, and there's been some stuff that just sort of knocked me sideways, and I think that came out in the lyrics. And but it was very cathartic. That's the one thing I'm grateful for as a songwriter.
Yeah.
You can take whatever you're feeling and put it into a song, and then get past it.
Yeah.
Where I don't know what other people do.
Yeah, especially a songwriter with your pedigree, talent, and skill. Listen, Ron Sexsmith, you seem to be in a happy place right now. Appreciate you joining us. Good luck with this new music. I'm sure fans are going to be excited to listen to all of it. Thank you so much, Ron.
Thanks for having me on. Cheers.